Hey everybody, in color grading our images, let's take a look at how we can actually create a custom LUT to use in Photoshop. If you don't know what an LUT is, it is a lookup table feature that we have built into the Photoshop. Are we ready for this? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new to this channel, this is dedicated to increasing your creativity in photography and as a photo artist. Okay, a question I had that came in actually a few weeks ago. I'm trying to get caught up on some of the issues that people are, or questions I should say, people are asking. And by the way, if you do have a question, please email me at stevenphotoartist@gmail.com. Again, that's stevenphotoartist@gmail.com. And again, if you're new to the channel, if you could do me a favor, and that is like this video, and even if you're subscribed to the channel, please make sure you like the video because it does help the algorithm. So again, like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and also hit that notification bell. That way, every time I upload a brand new video, you are informed regarding that. Okay, so let's take a look at a question I had, and that is, a few weeks ago, probably a couple months ago, I was actually showing different techniques of color grading an image. And one of the techniques I used was the lookup table. And some people call that an LUT for short, stands for lookup table. And somebody asked, well, can't you create your own custom lookup table? And the answer is yes. And they just want to know how to do it. And then the other thing is, I'm going to show you also how to add it in the lookup table feature where they have a drop-down menu, and your customized LUT would be available in that list, because you could create one and use it, but it's not going to show up in that list. And every time you want to use that, you have to go find that LUT to import into your image. So we want to make it available in the drop-down menu. So we'll do two things. Number one, how do I create a LUT? Number two, how do I have it featured permanently in Photoshop in the lookup table drop-down menu? Okay, let's get started with this. Back here in Photoshop, I'm just going to open up. In fact, I think I'm going to open up the same image I used for actually showing how to color grade different ways. And again, one of the methods we used was the lookup table. So over here on the Oreo cookie dipped in milk, at least that's what I call that little icon there, I'm going to click on that, and you'll see one of the features is called a lookup table. Now, when I choose that, you're going to see in the drop-down menu here a lot of different features that you can actually choose from. And if I just randomly choose, I'll just choose this abstract blur one, you can see how that actually changed the image. And we have a whole bunch of other ones that you can actually choose. And if I pull the opacity down, so I'm going to drop that down close to, well, let's make that 50% right there. So you can see there is a change. So I'm not using 100% of that LUT. I'm using 50% of that. Now, what I'd like to do is, I don't necessarily have to use LUTs here. I can actually go to this icon again, and I'll choose something like, all these are non-destructive editing tools that we can use in layers. I'm going to choose color balance. And I'm just going to go to, in the drop-down menu here, to highlights, and I'm going to add a little bit more red in the highlights, and maybe add a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to get something like this. So if I turn this on and off, you can see a subtle change there. And again, I'm doing that in the highlights only area. I'm leaving the midtones alone and the shadows alone. And then, what the heck, let's do another one. So go back to the same icon. And what should I choose? How about hue and saturation? And again, I'm just playing with this. I'll go down to the drop-down menu here, and I'll say, let's affect the yellows in here, and maybe I'll push up the saturation of the yellows. And I'm going to overdo this because a lot of times on video, especially when it's uploaded to YouTube, the way they compress things, sometimes subtle changes just don't appear. So let's take a look at this. We can see a little bit more yellows in the lights, and the lights behind her head right here. We can see that change right there. Okay, so I have 3 different adjustment layers that I chose. And I don't know how many you're limited to, but usually you're getting what you want within 2 or 3 adjustment layers right there. And I'm going to highlight these 3. So with that top one selected right here, if I just hold the Shift key down and click on the last one, it highlights all 3 of those adjustment layers. And I'm going to use a shortcut keystroke called Control G, or if you're on a Mac, it would be Command G. And that will actually put it in its own group. Now you could label the group, but this for demo, I don't have to do that to create a custom LUT, which again stands for the lookup table. I just have the group highlighted. So if I come down here to the File drop-down menu and choose to export, and then come all the way down here to something called Color Lookup Tables. And then it picks up the name of my file, which is Gangster JPEG, which is fine. I'll leave that alone. And usually medium is a good enough quality for this. If you choose a higher amount, it takes a while to create it, to actually create it. But it's really not necessary. Medium is high quality. And the other thing is formats. Cube is used easily with Photoshop and also video editing softwares. But you do have these different features available to you, and it'll create all those file formats. Well, we don't need all of those. We're just going to use, again, the cube one right there. And now when I click on OK, it's going to ask me to save the file and give it a name. So I'm going to put it in the sample folder, and I'm going to change the name, and I'm just going to call this Gangster-version 1, and then make sure you have .lut behind there. I'll hit save. And there we go. It actually created a LUT file for me. So to use this, I'm going to turn this off right now. And I'm going to click on the image. And I'm going to go to the Oreo cookie dipped in milk again and choose Color Lookup. Now, when I go there, if I go to the drop-down menu, I'm going to choose Load LED Lookup Table. I'll get a dialog box that opens up. This one automatically went to my sample folder because I've used it before. So there's the LUT I just created called Gangster version 1, and click on load, and that puts that and applies that as a single LUT onto my image, which is identical to the one I did with the 3 adjustment layers. So to prove that, I can turn this one off, turn that group on, and you see exactly the same thing. So again, I'll turn that off, turn that one on. So that's how you actually create your actual custom LUT. Now, with that out of the way, we need to know that if I go to, well, let's say the LUT again over here, and I go to the drop-down menu, and I want to change this to Gangster, I don't see that available to me down here. So in other words, if I got rid of that, selected my image again, went to lookup table, if I go to the drop-down, it's not available to me in this drop-down list. I would have to choose this right here, go find that, and add it. Well, that's extra steps, and I don't want to do that. So to make this work, to have it available in the drop-down menu, here's what I have to do. I'm going to close out of this image. Actually, I'm going to have to close out of Photoshop because even though I'm going to apply it to that lookup menu, it won't show up until I close out and then reopen the program. So here's what I have to do. Here's the LUT that I created, and we don't need that. There's the LUT I created. And what I want to do is go to my Explorer. If you're on a Mac, it's your Finder. And what you want to do is go find where Photoshop is installed. Now on a PC, it's on my C drive. I'm sure you know how to navigate with your Finder on your Mac system. But I'm going to go to Programs folder right here. I'm going to go to Adobe. And I'm going to go find the folder that Adobe Photoshop, in this version right now, it's 2023 as of this recording. And then I'll find a category there called Presets. And when I double click on the Presets folder, you will see 3D LUTs. And if I double click on that, this is your drop-down menu that's in Photoshop. So what I have to do is go over here, find the LUT I just created, click and drag it into this folder here, and it should give me an administrative warning to make sure that, this is what I want to do. I'm the administrator of the system here, so I would just choose continue, and it will load that in. So now you can see it here in the list. Now that I have that there, if I, I'll leave that open there. If I reopen up Photoshop, and this will take a while to open up because I'm running multiple things in the background and recording software, which is taking up a lot of resources. But when Photoshop opens up, now that LUT, that LUT, should be available in the lookup feature. So let's open up that file, just like I did before. Come over here to the Oreo cookie dipped in milk and choose Color Lookup. And now I'm going to go to the drop-down menu, the gangster one, version -1, there it is. And if I click on that, it applied that LUT for me. So that's, we did two things here. If we do a quick recap. Number one, I showed you how to create a custom LUT. And then number two, I showed you how to put that in to the drop-down menu. So now that it's permanently there. If you want to get rid of that LUT at some time in the future, you go to the same folder that we just went to and just delete the gangster LUT out of there. And then please remember, for that to be updated in Photoshop, you have to close the Photoshop program out and then reopen it. And then that LUT would not appear anymore in the drop-down menu. So with that out of the way, hopefully you learned something. And just a quick reminder, if you like this video and you learned something, please help me out. And that is hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and also hit that notification bell. So the next time you'll get notified when I upload a video to YouTube. And again, my ending is always the same, and that is please get that camera out. Go out and practice, make mistakes. And a lot of times people are saying, why are you telling people to make mistakes? Because we learn by making mistakes. It doesn't cost us anything with digital. We can just delete those files, but we want to learn and learn. So we want to analyze our mistakes. So push yourself to get out there, shoot, make mistakes, learn. And once again, always think creatively, think out of the box, literally think out of the box. Until next time, see ya.